Welcome in, everybody, to a deep dive today into some pretty intense things happening over at the FBI.
Yeah, you send over some sources
Yeah.
that are both titled FBI Agents Sue Trump Administration Over January 6 Scrutiny, as FBI discloses list of over 5,000 agents to DOJ.
Right.
One is a CBS News piece, and the other one looks like just a pasted text with the same headline.
Yeah.
So it seems like something's really spooked the FBI rank and file here, enough to take on their own leadership in the Justice Department. So let's get into it.
Let's try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
One of the things that jumped out at me was that it's not just,
right.
a couple of disgruntled agents who
Hmm.
are filing this lawsuit.
Yeah, that's what's really striking here.
Yeah.
It's not just a couple of agents. It's two separate groups of FBI agents.
Wow.
And along with them is the FBI Agents Association,
Okay.
which represents over 14,000
Yeah.
active and former agents.
So this is a big deal.
When they team up to sue,
Yeah.
that's a sign that something is really, really wrong.
So what is it that they're so upset about?
Yeah.
The sources mentioned this lawsuit is about preventing the release of their names.
Right.
But why are they so scared about that?
Well, they're concerned about potential backlash from individuals who were charged in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol,
Right.
and especially from those who were pardoned by President Trump.
Okay.
The lawsuit actually points to social media activity,
Yeah.
where some of these pardoned individuals are encouraging violence against law enforcement.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's a chilling thought.
Yeah, to put your life on the line,
Absolutely.
to investigate these cases and then potentially be targeted by the people you helped to bring to justice.
And to add fuel to the fire, the DOJ actually requested a list of all FBI employees who were involved in the January 6th investigation,
Wow.
as well as other Trump-related probes.
Okay.
And over 5,000 agents' information was handed over to the DOJ.
That's a lot of people.
It is a huge number.
Yeah, and that includes their employee ID numbers and their titles.
Yeah, they basically painted a target on the backs of all of these agents.
But it doesn't sound like the sources really have any idea what the DOJ is planning on doing with this list.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. And that uncertainty is a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
No actions have been taken against any of these agents yet.
Okay.
But the lawsuit explicitly states that these agents are afraid of potential terminations or other career-damaging moves.
So they're just kind of stuck in limbo,
Okay.
not knowing what's going to happen.
It's got to be incredibly stressful.
Yeah, you mentioned Trump-related probes.
Right.
I'm curious what that tells us about the wider context here.
Well, remember, President Trump's campaign promised to clean house at the Justice Department.
I do.
It seems like this whole situation is connected to that,
Okay.
to his attempt to reshape the department and target what he called the weaponization of the federal government against him.
So it's not just about this January 6th investigation.
Right.
It sounds like this is a power struggle
Exactly.
between the Trump administration and the FBI.
A larger power struggle.
Okay.
And we see evidence of that in other actions, like the instruction that was given to the U.S. attorney in Washington, D.C. to fire prosecutors that were involved in January 6 cases.
So they really are trying to remove the people that...
There seems to be a concerted effort to remove those who were involved in investigating Trump and his allies.
That's pretty intense.
It is.
And it sounds like the FBI is caught in the middle of this political battle, and I'm wondering, how's this affecting their ability to do their jobs? They're
Right.
supposed to be, upholding the law and not navigating these political minefields.
Right, and that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
We see this internal turmoil reflected in a memo from James Dennehy, a veteran FBI agent, to his colleagues in New York.
Okay.
He described a battle within the Bureau,
Wow.
and he highlighted the fact that 8 high-ranking FBI executives had been forced out.
Yeah.
That's got to send shockwaves through the entire organization.
Yeah, that's a pretty hostile work environment.
Yeah.
You're seeing your colleagues pushed out.
Yeah.
You've got this lawsuit alleging this potential retaliation.
Right.
And then this list of names.
A looming list of names in the hands of the DOJ.
Yeah.
It's no wonder morale is plummeting.
It does make you wonder what kind of impact this is going to have on the FBI's ability to attract and retain talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who wants to join an organization where you might be punished
Right.
for just doing your job?
Yeah. And I think this is a really important point.
Yeah.
It's not just about the impact on the FBI itself,
Right.
but also the impact on public trust.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. If people start to think that the FBI is being used as a political weapon,
Right.
they're not going to want to cooperate with investigations.
Yeah.
They're not going to report crimes, and they're just not going to trust the justice system as a whole.
This situation has the potential to really erode public confidence in one of our most important law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, so we've got this lawsuit, we've got this list, we've got this power struggle.
Right.
We've got this plummeting morale. What about the acting FBI director, Brian Driscoll? What is
Yeah.
he doing about all of this?
Well, he released a video message where he praises the work of the FBI,
Okay.
but he completely avoids mentioning the lawsuit or the list of names.
That's strange.
Seems odd you would think that he would want to address those concerns,
Right.
especially given all of the anxiety and the uncertainty within the Bureau.
Yeah, what kind of message does that send to the rank-and-file agents who are afraid for their jobs?
That's the million-dollar question. Does it signal that he's siding with the Trump administration?
Right.
Or is he trying to just navigate a difficult situation without stirring up more trouble?
Yeah.
It's really hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
But one thing is clear.
Okay.
This situation has exposed a very deep rift within the FBI, and it remains to be seen how this is going to play out in the long run.
Okay, let's pause here for a second and take stock of what we've learned.
Okay, we've got FBI agents suing the DOJ
Right.
to prevent the release of their names.
Yeah.
We've got fears of retaliation. The DOJ's request for the list of agents involved in these sensitive investigations,
Right.
potential terminations, internal turmoil within the FBI,
Yeah.
and the Trump administration pushing for changes within the Justice Department.
It's a lot.
It is a lot to unpack.
But one of the things that's really striking to me is
Yeah.
this potential impact this could have on the FBI's ability to function
Right.
and to maintain public trust.
Absolutely.
If agents feel like they're being targeted for political reasons,
Yeah.
it's going to be really hard for them to do their jobs
It is.
without being afraid of what's going to happen to them.
You're absolutely right. And it raises a really important question. What are the long-term consequences for the FBI and the public's trust in law enforcement if these agents feel like their work is being politically targeted?
That is a great question.
Yeah. This is a power struggle
Mm.
with potentially far-reaching implications.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think we all need to pay really close attention to.
Yeah. Definitely something to watch.
Definitely.
And we will continue this deep dive in just a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to make people hesitant to pursue these sensitive investigations,
Right.
especially those involving powerful people.
Precisely. That's one of the
Yeah.
most worrying aspects of this whole situation.
Yeah.
I mean, we rely on the FBI to be impartial
Right.
and fearless in pursuing justice,
Right.
no matter who the target is.
Yeah.
But if agents feel like they're being punished just for doing their jobs,
Right.
it sets a very dangerous precedent.
Yeah, it's like a cancer that can spread through the whole system.
Exactly.
Yeah, if public trust in the FBI erodes, it's
Wow.
harder to solve crimes.
Yeah.
It's harder to prevent terrorism.
Absolutely.
And it makes it harder to ensure national security.
And we can't forget about the impact on the agents themselves.
Right.
These people dedicate their lives to upholding the law.
Yeah.
They put themselves in harm's way.
Right.
And to be targeted or ostracized just for doing their duty
Yeah.
is not only unjust, but it's incredibly demoralizing.
It's no wonder morale is taking a hit.
It's no wonder.
The sources didn't really get into the specifics of the lawsuit, though.
Right.
What are the legal arguments that these FBI agents and the association are using?
Well, they're arguing that the DOJ's actions violates their First Amendment rights,
Okay.
specifically their right to free association and their right to be free from retaliation for protected speech.
Okay.
They claim that just being identified as someone who investigated Trump or his allies
Right.
could open them up to harassment or threats.
Right.
And we see some evidence of that in the social media activity that the lawsuit mentions.
So it's not even just about job security. This
No.
is about basic constitutional rights.
It is, and that adds another layer of complexity to this situation.
Yeah, it's like a web of all these competing interests.
Absolutely.
You know,
Right.
the right to free speech, the need for national security,
Right.
the public's right to know,
Right.
and the FBI's need to maintain its integrity.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough.
And there's no easy answer here.
No.
It's a very delicate balancing act.
Right.
And the outcome of this lawsuit could have huge implications for how the FBI operates in the future.
Makes you wonder if there are any historical parallels here.
Oh, absolutely.
Has the FBI ever faced this kind of pressure before,
Yeah.
where its independence is being challenged?
Oh, yeah. The FBI has a long and complicated history,
Right.
and it's not always been a smooth ride.
Yeah.
Think back to the J. Edgar Hoover era
Right.
when the FBI was accused of going too far
Yeah.
and engaging in surveillance of activists and civil rights
You
leaders.
remember learning about COINTELPRO
Right?
in history class?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a pretty dark period for the FBI.
It was a very dark chapter.
Yeah.
They were using all kinds of shady tactics
Yeah.
to disrupt and discredit groups that they considered subversive.
So this isn't the first time the FBI's independence has been questioned.
It's not.
Makes you wonder, what lessons can we learn from this?
Right.
What safeguards need to be put in place so that something like COINTELPRO never happens again?
That's a really crucial question.
Yeah.
One of the main takeaways from the COINTELPRO era
Yeah.
is the need for strong oversight and accountability.
Right.
We need to have mechanisms in place to make sure that the FBI is operating within the law
Right.
and that its actions are being scrutinized by both the legislative and judicial branches.
So checks and balances are essential.
They're absolutely essential.
But what about us?
Right.
What about the role of the public in all this?
That's a great question.
How can we as citizens help to make sure that the FBI remains independent
Right.
and accountable?
Well, it starts with awareness.
Okay.
We need to stay informed about what's happening. We need to understand what's at stake.
Yeah.
And we need to hold our elected officials accountable.
So staying engaged and informed is crucial.
It's absolutely crucial.
But what about these FBI agents who are speaking out?
Right.
They're risking their careers and their
Ah.
reputations to raise these concerns?
They're putting a lot on the line.
Yeah.
Their courage is commendable.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that individuals can make a difference,
Right.
even within huge and powerful institutions.
Yeah. They're putting principle above personal gain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's really something to be admired.
Yeah. I wonder what it's like to be in their shoes. To
Yeah.
know that you're going up against this incredibly powerful force
Yeah.
and that you might face retaliation for speaking truth to power.
It takes incredible bravery and a deep commitment to justice
Yeah.
and accountability to do something like that.
Right.
They're putting their faith in the system,
Right.
believing that the truth will win out in the end. And their actions, regardless of what happens with this lawsuit,
Right.
are a powerful testament
Yeah.
to the importance of standing up for what you believe in.
Yeah. This has been an amazing deep dive.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to see this whole story in a new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about politics.
Right.
It's about these really fundamental principles that are the foundation of our justice system.
You've hit the nail on the head. This is about so much more
Yeah.
than just one lawsuit or one administration.
Yeah.
This is about the values that we cherish as a nation.
Right.
Things like fairness,
Right.
accountability,
Yeah.
and the rule of law.
And it reminds us that those values are fragile,
They are fragile.
and we have to be vigilant in order to protect them.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about the acting FBI director's silence on this issue?
Yeah, that's a really tough question.
Do you think he's trying to protect the FBI by
Right.
avoiding controversy?
It's possible that he's trying to just navigate a difficult situation
Right.
without making things worse.
Yeah.
But it could also be seen as a way of supporting what the Trump administration is doing.
Right.
And that could really alienate the rank and file agents
Right.
who are already feeling demoralized and betrayed.
It's a tough balancing act, for sure.
It is.
He needs to balance the interests of the institution
Right.
with the needs of the people who are putting their lives on the line every day.
You got it.
And the way he handles this
Yeah,
could have a really big impact on his legacy as FBI director
for sure.
and on the long-term health of the Bureau.
It really is a turning point for the FBI.
Yeah.
What happens next could determine its course for years to come.
It's a really pivotal moment.
Yeah, and it's up to all of us as
Yeah.
citizens
Right.
to pay attention,
Right?
ask tough questions,
Yeah.
and hold our leaders accountable for what they do.
This has been a really insightful conversation.
It has.
I'm starting to see this whole story in a whole new light.
Yeah.
It's not just about politics. It's about the very foundation of our justice system.
Absolutely. It's about the values we hold dear as a nation.
You're right.
Things like fairness,
Right.
accountability,
Yeah.
and the rule of law.
And it's a reminder that those values are very fragile,
They are.
and we need to constantly be working to protect them.
We do.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're at a crossroads.
It does.
One path leads to, greater transparency and accountability,
Right.
and the other path is more murky with, political manipulation and all that.
Yeah, which path are we going to go down?
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen?
It's hard to say for sure. I think a lot of it depends on how this lawsuit plays out.
Okay.
If the agents win and their rights are upheld,
Yeah.
it could really set an important precedent
Okay.
for protecting law enforcement from being used for political purposes.
Right.
But if the DOJ wins,
Yeah.
it could basically give future administrations the green light to use the FBI for their own personal agendas.
So a lot really hinges on this
A
case.
lot does.
What are some of the things we should be looking out for as this unfolds?
Well, one major concern is this potential brain drain within the FBI.
Okay.
If experienced agents who are disillusioned by what's happening start leaving,
Yeah.
it could really hurt the Bureau's ability to conduct complex investigations.
Yeah. I mean, who wants to dedicate their life to a job
Exactly.
where they feel like they're just a pawn in a game,
Right.
right?
Think about it. Who
Yeah.
wants to do that?
You're right. It's not just about the individuals involved.
Right.
It's about the damage that's being done to the institution.
It is.
Yeah, the FBI's reputation that's been built up over decades
Right.
could be tarnished.
Could be severely tarnished.
And that's going to make it harder to attract talented people in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this could have ripple effects on all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Counterterrorism efforts,
Right.
white-collar crime investigations.
A weakened FBI is a threat to national security and the rule of law.
And I think another big thing is the impact on public trust. Oh, absolutely.
If people lose faith in the FBI,
Yeah,
to be fair and impartial,
right.
they're not going to cooperate with investigations.
Right.
They're not going to report crimes.
Exactly.
And they're just going to lose trust in the justice system overall.
It's a dangerous downward spiral.
Yeah, once that trust is gone,
Yeah,
it's really hard to get it back.
extremely difficult.
So what can we do?
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything we can do to stop this thing from spinning out of control?
Well, one really crucial step
Okay.
is to demand transparency from our elected leaders.
Okay.
We need to know what they're doing to address these issues.
Yeah.
What safeguards are being put in place to protect the FBI from political interference?
Right.
And how are they planning to hold those who've done wrong accountable?
So we need to keep the pressure on.
You do. We have to hold their feet to the fire.
I mean, what about the media?
Right.
I mean, they have a huge impact on public perception.
You do.
What can they do to make sure this story gets the attention it deserves?
Without making things worse and causing more division and distrust.
That's where responsible journalism is so important.
Right.
The media needs to stick to the facts,
Yeah.
provide context,
Right.
and avoid sensationalizing things.
Okay.
They have a duty to report on this story accurately and fairly.
Yeah.
They need to hold those in power accountable,
Right.
but they also need to remember how important the FBI is to protecting our country.
So we need informed citizens.
Yeah.
We need responsible journalism.
Absolutely.
Well, what about within the FBI?
Right.
I mean, what can they do
Yeah.
to address this morale crisis
Yeah.
and let the agents know that their work matters
Right.
and their rights will be protected?
That's where strong leadership is absolutely crucial.
Okay.
The acting FBI director needs to step up
Yeah.
and address these concerns directly.
Right.
He needs to let his agents know that he's got their backs,
Yeah.
that he'll fight for them,
Right.
and that he will not tolerate political meddling in the Bureau's work.
So we need clear communication and
Yes.
decisive action from the top.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the leadership either.
Okay.
It's about the culture within the FBI.
Okay.
How can they build a work environment where agents feel comfortable speaking up when they see something wrong?
Right.
Where whistleblowers are protected
Yeah.
and where doing the right thing is valued above all else.
That's a big undertaking.
It is. It's a long-term project,
Yeah.
but it requires a real commitment to
Right.
transparency,
Right.
accountability,
Yeah.
and ethical conduct.
So we're really talking about changing the way things are done at the FBI.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
But it's also about getting back to the core values
Okay.
that have always made the FBI great things.
Right.
Like integrity,
Yeah.
fairness,
Right.
and a commitment to upholding the law no matter what.
Well, this has been a real journey.
It has.
We started with this lawsuit
Right.
and a list of names.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about the soul of the FBI.
It's a pivotal moment, not just for the FBI,
Yeah.
but for our democracy as a whole.
It really is. And the choices that we make as
Yeah.
citizens,
Right.
as journalists,
Absolutely.
and as leaders
Yes.
are going to shape the kind of FBI we have in the future.
And they'll shape the kind of country we have in the future.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the FBI's clash with the Trump administration.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been a really fascinating look at power,
Yeah.
accountability,
Right.
and that fine line between national security and individual rights.
It's a delicate balance.
We hope this has given you a better understanding of what's at stake here,
I hope so.
and that you'll continue to engage in this important conversation about the future of the FBI
Yeah, it's a conversation we all need to be having.
and its rule of law in our country.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.